My name is Meg Godlewski. I am a flight instructor, 22 years time and grade as of today, 5,700 and I think it's now 23 hours dual given logged. I'm in the Seattle area and I am a big fan of the Redbird because it's one of the best tools a flight instructor can have for teaching,
awesome.
for learning. Succinctly, learning is taking place because we have a variety of scenarios both for the VFR pilot and for the IFR pilot, and they're designed to stretch your skills and also to show you where your soft spots are and how we can fix those soft spots, things you need to work on, things that can bite a pilot in the tuchus if they're not paying attention, like flying the RNAV approach when they should be doing the VOR approach or the VOR approach and not tuning it in correctly. And they wonder why they're not getting on course, and then it dawns on them they're not using the correct device in the machine, or just getting silly with the heading indicator and not realizing it's failed on you and now you have to use your magnetic compass, things that we don't really think about when we leave the training environment. So some of the surprises I've had today, I've had people who have had their instrument certificate or instrument rating for decades, but they rarely use it. Now I'm from Seattle where we have so much moisture and fog. Our children are born with gills and flippers. So this idea of flying in VFR all the time is alien to me. And I am amazed, some of them have had very good training, I'm gonna guess, because they get right back into the saddle, so to speak. As far as the VFR clients go, knowing what to look at on the G1000, because it's very distracting if you're not familiar with it. So anyone who wants to go from round dial to G1000, I highly recommend at least an hour or two in a simulator to figure out where to look so you don't have that moment when you get into the actual airplane, because that can be, well, unfortunate.
Sure.
And I'm picking up that a lot of people are coming in here, it's Oshkosh, where aviation is just the world. There's so much to see out there on the field, but they're coming in here to work on their skills. That tells me these are good people, these are good aviators. We need more people like that who understand that maybe they could use a little bit of polish or a little bit of education. Well, since most people travel to get to Oshkosh, I think doing something in the pre-PC tells you what you need to work on. So when you get back to wherever it is you're from, you can find an instructor and a Redbird, and you can work on it there. It's just basically like, you know what, I could do more homework at home. So I think it opens up the door for people who want to do more training, right? And this facility is wonderful because we have so many people in here and so many instructors. This is like our Disneyland. What I'd like to do when I've got someone who comes to me, ab initio, brand new, if I have access to a simulator, I'm going to have them fly a lap in the pattern in the simulator, because most intro flights involve a lap in the pattern, go out, practice area, maybe 10, 15 minutes, come back in. It gets rid of the, oh my gosh, what am I doing factor, because I've done it once in the sim. I show them how to use the rudders. I show them how to turn the plane. You don't have to yank the yoke all over the place like Speed Racer. I show them where the airspeed indicator is, where the altimeter is. I will do the radios because I already know they know how to talk, so that's okay. So we might go out and just fly a lap in the pattern, then we'll come back in, and we'll get the airplane that go out, and I will remind them of what they saw in the sim as we're in the airplane. All right, there's your airspeed. So your airspeed's 90 right now, just like you saw on the Redbird. All right, now we're going to turn left to this heading, just like you did in the Redbird, using your rudder pedals, just like you did in the Redbird. It reinforces positive lessons, basically. Yes, I absolutely do. If I lived in Oshkosh, I would probably be in here probably every weekend teaching a class if I could, just to make it happen. I would love to get a bunch of maybe some college level kids who may be thinking about aviation as experience, and also for the kids who are having trouble with math, because flying is a lot of math, and this is a practical application of that. And I just think this is an incredible resource that we need to use. This is a Swiss Army knife, right? And we need to learn how to use all the tools.
So my name is Jeremy DeRusso. I'm the Director of Flight Proficiency Programs and Aircraft Operations for EAA here in Oshkosh. So behind me, the backdrop here is our Pilot Proficiency Center, which moved into its brick and mortar setting in 2022, opened up for AirVenture 2022. But for a long time down on Four Corners during AirVenture, and it was one of the more popular features and attractions. So what the advantage of moving it into its full-time home here in the brick and mortar facilities is it's a year-round operation instead of something that happened just once a year during the week of AirVenture. So what you're seeing behind me is 12 advanced aviation training devices, Redbird LDs, that now have a home 52 weeks instead of 1 week out of and 51 in a crate. We've got briefing rooms, classroom facilities. We also do a lot of our in-aircraft programs. Our Sport Pilot Academy is one. We're bringing on some tailwheel programs, different things. So we're kind of growing that portfolio of offerings too. But this kind of becomes a big core component of it. As well, we've got a crosswind trainer, which we've integrated into a lot of our training programs, which has been actually highly instrumental as well as part of like Sport Pilot Academy and some of the other things we do. So what we've got here is really this unique facility that has a lot of uses. So obviously from a pilot proficiency basis for folks coming in and working on things that they're weak on, we offer things from come on in and rent a training device, bring your instructor, use one of our full-time staff instructors, fly by yourself. We have flight schools that come in and bring their students and their instructors, so we've got that. Then we create a multitude of programming throughout the year. A lot of that is programming that is half-day training where there's multiple breakout sessions, and then we've been spending a lot of time developing specific scenarios and things. A lot of it's been statistical based, like our startle effect, our stabilized approaches. Some of those are some of the things that we do on a regular basis out here at EAA. But the neat part about this training center and EAA is outside of AirVenture, it's really kind of an epicenter of aviation, general aviation, and it's neat to be here off season and do some of the stuff. So we've got a lot of unique only in Oshkosh opportunities that happen here too, where we'll put together advanced programming with some of our partners like Community Aviation, for example, where we've done our advanced IFR, where we're hosting dinners in the museum and behind the scenes tours and pictures in the Mustang, and there's all different kinds of things that we do. So it's kind of a destination place. We're bringing in a lot of folks. We've had some type training folks, type aircraft folks. We had the Bonanza pilot training folks coming in this year back in May, where we configured the training devices in Barons and Bonanzas, and they spent 4 days here with their particular programming, leveraging all that kind of stuff. They did in-aircraft, the whole 9 yards. So training device stuff, it was a really, really neat event. So we got quite the breadth and depth of things that we can do with the training center itself. And that's kind of what we've been working on and putting together over a period of time. And this is our fourth, 22, 23, 24, this is our fourth AirVenture here, the year, and it keeps getting busier and busier every year. One of the interesting things that we do with the training center here is we've got this great test kitchen. And so when it comes to program development or being able to contribute in industry, for example, when we deliver our training programs that we've been doing this past year, we're really starting to hone in on the difference between a flight instructor in an airplane and an instructor in a training device. And so we're now being able to start to collect a lot of data on how to maximize instruction in a training device, because we do it so much. So those are some of the things that we're really working on, dialing that in. We're looking at creating and developing programming and collaboration with the FAA and other entities in the organization, Redbird, a couple of others, of bringing things where we're able to start creating and developing programming and get that out to the general public and the masses to be able to go find training devices closer to them, but they can still get the same stuff that we're building, developing, testing here to make sure that it works and it's highly effective for the user, the end user, the learner that comes in to use. So those are some of the things we're going to continue to grow. Our in-aircraft training, like I said, we're going to look at bringing on some tailwheel training. We're going to expand our Sport Pilot Academy, especially with Mosaic. That just got announced this week. So there's different things that we want to do with there. We're continuing to create new weekend type classes, or half-day classes, and or weekend classes. We're expanding our portfolio of training and instrument. Right now we're kind of laughing back as we're basically building a box of Lego pieces right now, that we're building these different things in these smaller modules. But for example, one of the ones that we're building up, we're going to start to beta test this fall, is we've got an aircraft that we're going to basically fill full of Easter eggs and we're going to do a pre-flight kind of environment outside in our courtyard here with the actual aircraft. Everybody will go through, take a shot at doing the pre-flight with their bingo card, and then it's basically going to be driving around the first flight after an aircraft comes out of annual, and so they'll be able to get into the training devices, and hopefully maybe they caught something on the pre-flight, maybe they didn't. Who knows what they're going to come up with within the training device, but in that scenario, or that one particular example, it really kind of bootstraps the emotional component of it, where you're like, well, that will never happen to me. It's like, well, actually it just did, because you didn't pick up that the castle nut on the cable for the rudder was loose and didn't have a cotter pin in it, and so now you have no rudder. So those are the types of things that we're very fortunate, and we've got the team and the support of industry to be able to do here and to elevate the level of training that we do. So I think probably the biggest lever that we can pull, that we can control, and my team will tell you, they hear me, I'm like a broken record here, but it's really understanding the value of simulation as it pertains to my personal proficiency plan. We get a lot of naysayers that come in, we get a lot of folks that it doesn't fly like my airplane, it's not as good, these types of things. And when you put them in these environments where they're like, oh, I couldn't really fly straight level very well, and this is after a warm-up session. It's not just out of the blue, right? So we build those things into our programs. But all of a sudden they're like, geez, my scan was a mess. I went through this myself. I hadn't flown in several months, and I was training down in here in the early days when we first were building the building out in the facility. And the light bulb for me went off. I was like, geez, I was all over the place with scan. My heading was off, my altitudes, and after 20 minutes, half hour in there, I could start seeing everything come back into focus. So I think if nothing more, being able to drive home to folks that come in and participate in the programs that they do, that they see that incorporating this type of training as part of their personal proficiency is wildly important. And then if we do our job right, and we have been to date, because we've seen uptick in participation, and a lot of the stuff we're doing, same people keep coming back for more and more and more, that they're starting to realize that, yeah, this is of value to me, and it is something I should seek out more. And so for us, the vision is, as we're building these things, is to get a lot more of what we do and make that available for folks out there in the market space that can't physically be here in Oshkosh to attend some of these events, maybe outside of AirVenture, but hopefully we'll be able to create things that they can take advantage of back in their local community, back at home with their training organization and their instructors there, but they'll be able to get all the materials and everything they need into a valid, vetted type of training program that isn't something that's, hey, let's go for a flight, I don't know, what do you want to do, let's do this type of a thing. So that's kind of the desire of where we really want to get to, and we're slowly making strides.